兄弟们，昨天我回家，我妈又说起了给我找男朋友的事儿。
I'm 34 years old this year, and recently I've been losing a lot of money in the stock market. Yesterday, when I got home, my mom started nagging me about finding a boyfriend again. To be honest, after all these years of playing the stock market, the money I originally intended to use as a dowry has been completely lost, and I've wasted quite a bit of my youth too. Now that I think about it, maybe my mom is right. Should I hurry up and find a good family to marry into? Actually, the reason I haven't been in a rush to find someone all these years is because I've always thought that with my qualifications, finding a boyfriend would be a piece of cake, something I could easily accomplish in no time. Besides, my requirements really aren't that high. I just want him to be about 180 centimeters tall, with a nice physique, a straight nose, big eyes, and somewhat good-looking. As for having a car, a house, and some savings, these are basic conditions that a normal man should have nowadays, right? Also, he should be willing to hand over his salary to his wife and not have any bad habits, like smoking, drinking, playing mahjong or gaming. None of that is acceptable. Moreover, I hope he can cook, make soups, and have a gentle temperament, with a good personality, and be able to tolerate my flaws. All in all, my demands aren't that high, right? I really think I'm easy to please. If I can't even find a man like this, then I might as well just continue playing the stock market. What do you think?
家人们，我今年29，大龄单身，还未婚。
I am 29 years old, 1.76 meters tall, and still single, never married. Recently, I've had some really absurd blind date experiences that I just can't help but share with everyone. Sometimes, my friends see that I've been single for a long time and enthusiastically introduce me to potential partners, hoping I can find someone soon. Even though I've gone on several blind dates, each time the result leaves me feeling that, even though I've lowered my standards so much, it still seems incredibly difficult to find someone suitable. You must be thinking my standards are too high, right? Actually, I only have 3 requirements: a normal person, decent financial situation, and straight man. As for the standard expectations like owning a house, car, and savings, I won't even mention those. Do you think this is too much to ask? Here's the thing, a friend recently introduced me to a blind date. Actually, my friend isn't even that familiar with him, just thought the guy's financial situation was pretty good and figured I should meet him. I thought, why not give it a try? So, I agreed to meet this guy at a cafe. After we met, he asked me what kind of guy I liked. I thought about it, wanting to be sincere, so I replied, just someone who's honest, kind, and ambitious. That's been my consistent standard, and I don't think it's too much to ask. Then, I asked him, what are your standards for a girl? What he said next really shocked me. He said, I like pretty girls, and tall ones. If a girl isn't at least 1.7 meters, no matter how pretty she is, it won't work. Even if she's super pretty, if she's not over 1.7 meters tall, it's still a no-go. At that moment, I was already a bit speechless. In my mind, I was thinking, is this a beauty pageant or something? So, I asked him, and how tall are you? He confidently said, with shoes on, including my hair, I'm about 1.83 meters. When I heard that, I mentally rolled my eyes countless times, but since we were already there, I decided to try and have a serious conversation. I then tried to discuss the topic of standards with him. I said, isn't that a bit rigid? What if you meet a girl who might not be that pretty or tall, but she's great in other ways, and you two really connect on a deeper level? Wouldn't you still want to continue? To my surprise, he firmly said, no way. I have to find a girl who's pretty and tall. Then, he looked at me and said, I think you're quite tall, and I'm satisfied with that. Can you imagine how I felt at that moment? In my mind, I was thinking, aren't you going to ask if I'm satisfied with you? Afterward, he started going on and on about his obsession with pretty girls, and even mentioned his ex-girlfriends, all of whom were tall and beautiful. By this point, I was truly annoyed. It was clear he had no appreciation for inner qualities and no respect for women. I couldn't help but argue back, this is just objectifying women. Beauty standards should be diverse, and you can't just focus on appearances. People shouldn't judge others by their looks, inner character is just as important. However, he still stuck to his opinion, continuing to emphasize that he only wanted someone pretty and tall. This conversation completely killed any interest I had in continuing the date. When it was time to leave, he offered to drive me home. Initially, I wanted to refuse, thinking I'd just take a taxi, but he insisted, saying, "It's rush hour, it'll be hard to get a taxi. Let me drive you." So, reluctantly, I agreed. But in the car, I didn't feel like talking anymore and just focused on picking at my nails. He still tried to make conversation, first complimenting my nails, saying they looked nice, and then commenting, "Your hands are also pretty." Then, he actually suggested, "Let's compare the size of our hands." After saying that, he grabbed my hand. At that moment, I couldn't take it anymore. I immediately pulled my hand away and questioned him, "What are you doing? You're way too slick." But he didn't seem to care at all, laughing and saying, "Guys who aren't slick these days can't even get a girl." I said, "But you're just way too slick, I really can't handle it." So, I urged him, "Step on the gas, I need to get home." I made an excuse that I had something to do and needed to go to bed early, and that's how this disastrous blind date ended. What's even more ridiculous is that after I got home, this guy actually sent me a WeChat message, asking to meet again. And the time he sent the message was so odd, it was already 11 or 12 at night. Looking at that message, I just felt completely speechless and didn't even bother to reply. This blind date experience was really eye-opening and made me completely lose interest.
今年呢38岁了。
Hello everyone, I'm 38 years old, and I can definitely be called an older single woman. Although I'm not young anymore, I haven't lowered my standards for finding a partner, especially when it comes to age. I can clearly tell you that I absolutely won't date a man who is older than me, especially those over 40. Why? Because my recent blind dates were all with men over 40, and to be honest, these experiences make me feel uncomfortable, even a bit disgusted when I think about them now. Their skin is something I just can't stand, red, dark, and as rough as sandpaper. I don't even want to mention it again. Now, as long as a man is over 40, no matter how good the other conditions are, I won't consider him anymore. However, if it's someone around my age, I might still consider it, but it depends on appearance. You can take a look at me. Although I'm 38, you wouldn't be able to tell at all. Look at me, my skin is still smooth and delicate, not like someone my age at all. So my standards for a partner won't drop just because of my age. I still prefer younger men, full of energy, sunny and handsome. A lot of people say that when women reach a certain age, they prefer older men, thinking they are mature and stable. But I completely disagree with that. On the contrary, being with older men makes me feel nauseous and totally unattracted. So, I will continue to stick to my preferences and look for the man who makes my heart race.
我今年38岁了，很多人说我老阿姨、老女人、老太太，嫁不出去了，真的。
I'm 38 years old now, and many people like to call me an old auntie, old woman, or even old lady. Some even say I won't be able to get married. Honestly, your words have hurt me enough already. So today, I want to talk to you about why I've ended up left over. To be frank, I'm actually the kind of woman many others envy, and that's no exaggeration. I own 2 properties, have a car, and in terms of life, I may not expect to be rich and famous, but as an ordinary person, daily life and expenses are not a problem. Back when I didn't have money, my goal was to earn 10,000 yuan a month, just enough to pay for my house and insurance. At that time, I didn't have high expectations for myself, and my standards for finding a partner weren't that high either. I thought if I could find a man who earned 10,000 or 15,000 yuan a month, that would be good enough. After all, my own financial situation wasn't great back then, so my demands weren't high. But as I started earning 100,000 yuan a month, my standards began to rise. I became more and more picky. When looking at men, I no longer just looked at character and capability. I also started paying attention to height, appearance, and that first feeling. Sometimes I would reject someone entirely over some small detail. At that time, I was very prone to magnifying other people's flaws while completely ignoring what was behind them. As my income kept increasing, I went through a phase of arrogance, feeling like I was really something. In the past, I broke up with a boyfriend who had assets worth several million, and I didn't even think twice about it. Now looking back at these past years, I feel like I've worked so hard, yet I'm still unsatisfied. I always thought I'd meet the right person. However, time flies and reality has shown me that men who are better off than me won't choose me. They prefer younger girls, and that's an undeniable fact. After all, I no longer have the tenderness and charm I had when I was younger. When dealing with problems now, I tend to be direct, almost never playing the sweet, delicate role. So what's the result of striving for independence and working hard? Happiness has slowly drifted away from me. No one is pursuing me anymore, and no one wants to be my partner in life. But now I'm conflicted. You tell me to find a man whose conditions are worse than mine, and I just can't accept that. As for those who aren't good-looking or those I have no feelings for, I don't even want to engage with them. I still believe that marriage is a lifelong commitment, and I must find someone I truly like. Otherwise, I'd rather live on my own. The only option I have now is to keep going on blind dates and see if I can get lucky.
我今年已经37周岁了，我真的挺慌的。
I am already 37 years old, and my heart is truly filled with anxiety and unease. Many people ask me, how exactly am I feeling right now? I remember when I was 27 or 28. At that time, I was full of confidence about getting married, thinking that I would definitely be married before 30. Back then, I was full of hope for life, and everything I did brought me joy and satisfaction. I always felt that the future was bright, full of endless possibilities. However, time flies without me even realizing it, and now I am already 37. What I never imagined was that one day, I would be at this age and still unmarried. This reality leaves me feeling utterly hopeless, and I never anticipated being in this situation. Even though I have been making efforts to find a partner, my mindset is constantly swinging between actively searching and not searching at all. Sometimes I really want to find someone, but then, during the process of searching, I suddenly feel it's all meaningless, and I even grow tired of it. Can you imagine? Now people are starting to introduce me to men who are much older, some even born in 1971 or 1975, and others around 50 years old. Every time I encounter such situations, I feel a deep sense of helplessness, which suddenly wakes me up. It makes me wonder, where have all the men of my age gone? I guess men around my age no longer pay attention to women like me. They prefer to pursue young and beautiful girls, while I seem to be only introduced to men over 50. During this process, my heart has been greatly impacted. Each time, I feel like I am drifting further away from my goal, and it makes me start questioning the meaning of marriage, losing the motivation to continue searching. Men in their 50s, honestly, they seem like old men to me, yet I'm still only in my 30s. Is it really the case that the only partners available to me now are men in their 50s? The future seems so confusing and disappointing. As I watch time slip away day by day, I really start to feel that if I don't hurry up, my youth will quietly fade away. Therefore, I especially want to say to all the women who hope to get married, please cherish your youth, because a woman's youth is incredibly precious, and once you miss it, the opportunities will become fewer and fewer. I plan to slightly lower my standards from now on. I will no longer require a man to have a high level of education. Height can also drop from 1.8 meters to 1.75 meters, and when it comes to income, I used to require at least 30,000 yuan per month, but now I feel that 20,000 yuan is actually quite good. As for age, I prefer a man who is no more than 5 years older than me. I really can't convince myself to accept much older men. Sigh, I hope I can find a partner and get married this year.
从我开始下定决心找对象到现在已经是5天了。
Since I made up my mind to start looking for a partner, 5 days have already passed. Today, I want to share my criteria for choosing a partner. Someone messaged me today, introducing himself as being 1.63 m tall and born in 1993. As soon as I heard that, I was a bit puzzled and asked whether he was a man or a woman. He said he was a man, and I thought to myself, a guy who is 1.75 m tall standing next to me would only be about the same height as me, so you, at 1.63 m, really don't fit. Plus, you're from 1993, which makes you much younger than me, and that's just not suitable. My ideal partner should be at least 1.75 m tall, preferably 1.8 m. As for age, since I'm already 39 years old this year, I can accept someone who is up to 5 years older or younger than me. The most important thing is that if the person is divorced, I would prefer that they don't have children. If he is unmarried, that would be even better, because I'm not very good at handling complicated family situations. The simpler the family, the better. I also hope the person has at least a college degree and a stable income. As for owning property, if you're a local, I'd hope you have a house in the city. If you're from another city, it's okay if you don't have a house here, because I already have a car and a house in the city, as well as my own company. Although my family background is relatively modest, and my parents didn't provide much financial support, I have always been ambitious and worked hard to live a good life. So,
I don't have many other strict requirements. If you think I meet your criteria for a partner, feel free to contact me. When you do, please include your height, weight, age, occupation, income, and marital status. It's especially important to mention whether you are divorced or never married, because that is crucial to me. If it's inconvenient to share publicly, you can send me a private message. Since I'm already 39 years old, I'm worried that as I get older, I might not be able to have children, so I'm quite eager to find a partner now.
Why can't ordinary men marry older single women? The reason is actually very simple. You simply cannot handle them. So, what kind of group are these older single women? They are basically people who have extremely high expectations, but have not been blessed by fate. Although they don't come from a royal background, they act as if they have princess syndrome. Their original families, that is, their parents, were not able to provide them with a solid material foundation, nor could they offer enough financial support. And their own conditions are not particularly outstanding. Some of them may look relatively pretty, have a higher level of education, and their jobs aren't particularly exceptional. Their abilities are average, and while their income might be slightly higher than that of ordinary people, it's still far from enough to live the luxurious life they desire on their own. So, what do? They place all their hopes on marriage, hoping to achieve a leap in social class through it, fantasizing about becoming wealthy wives and living a life of luxury. However, the men who can help them achieve this dream are not foolish, right? The men who could help them achieve this kind of material leap through marriage won't be easily deceived. These men might toy with them for a while, but in the end, they won't truly invest their hearts. Once they get tired, they will discard them without hesitation, just like throwing away an old piece of clothing, without a trace of nostalgia or hesitation. And these older single women often harbor great fantasies about this. They think they are just a little unlucky, that they are only one step away from success, with their hands almost touching the threshold of class transcendence, just missing the opportunity. They firmly believe that similar opportunities will arise in the future, so they keep waiting. During this process, they're filled with contempt and disdain for ordinary men, often looking down on and even mocking them. They frequently say things like, "We are high-quality older single women. How could we possibly be interested in ordinary men like you?" However, as time goes on, they gradually realize that reality is not as wonderful as they imagined. They will never meet their dream prince again. And even if they occasionally do meet such men, these men often pay them little attention, completely ignoring their existence. They have tried to pursue such men actively, but without exception, they have been coldly received and rejected, leaving them in an even more awkward position. As time passes, their mentality and emotions begin to change. Their mental state gradually becomes unstable, their thinking increasingly delusional, and emotional outbursts occur from time to time. Their personalities become stubborn. Eventually, they become extremely sensitive, unable to tolerate criticism or reproach from others. If anyone dares to criticize them, they will immediately retaliate fiercely, without mercy. Now, do you understand why ordinary men cannot marry older single women? Because from the very beginning, you and older single women are simply not on the same wavelength. Do you agree with my views? Feel free to leave your comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support is very important to us, and we will continue to bring you better content. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.